What's on? This is DJCQ, otherwise known as Holton French on Builds, Mods, and Info Facebook groups. Hey, listen up, y'all. We got Alejandro Seri right now in the lobby waiting to be let in, and I've got his bike Phoenix up on the screen waiting to be let in. So here we go, y'all. Let me welcome Alejandro Seri. Alejandro, how you doing, guy?
Hey, Holton, how you doing, my friend?
I'm doing wonderful. You ready to get Phoenix up on there?
Yeah, yeah.
All right, man. How you doing?
Very good, very good. I'm still reeling from the victory last week and feeling good. Been working on the bike today. Everything is good. How are you, my friend?
I'm doing wonderful, man. It's been a wonderful day. We've been going back and forth the last week, and so I've been talking with Mr. Carl and several other important people about this race of yours. So, where do you want to start? Let's go and get this going. Um, so, let's talk a little bit about you, man. Let's talk about your history in bicycle racing in general. And just your background past, what brought you to Phatmoto, what brought you into the world of motorized bicycle racing is ultimately what I want to talk about. So let me hear it from you.
Sure, sure. Well, thank you, man. Yeah, I'm 55 years old. I've been racing BMX on and off since I was about 14 years old, so over 40 years of racing. Uh, did that most of my life. Highlights of that race career was getting a national number one plate in the NBL, which qualified me to get on Team USA and go to the BMX UCI World Championship race in
That's saying
Argentina.
something. That's really saying something right there. I like that. That's amazing.
Yeah,
I'm
that was a pretty awesome experience. Pretty awesome experience.
Yes.
Um, and I transitioned from BMX a little bit later after that into mountain biking. So I got into mountain cross, also known as four cross, basically like BMX on a mountain bike, but coming down a
Okay.
mountain about 30
Right.
miles an hour, huge jumps and berms and all that. So that was a great experience. I was able to go out to the Sea Otter Classic, which is one of America's most prestigious races. I
Right.
won my first race in that sport and was immediately hooked. Ended up going to the national championships in Mammoth 2 years in a row.
Wow.
Got number five in the country both years, ironically, just 5 and 5 back to back. Won a few
That's
more
amazing.
nationals during that
That's
time.
absolutely amazing.
Thank you, man. And just basically that really converted me into mountain bike racing. Fast forward a little bit, now I do mountain cross. Kind of died off in this country. It's still alive in Europe, but in the U.S. it died down, and I
Right.
switched over into dual slalom racing,
Were you
which is
ever doing
still,
were you ever doing any downhill or anything like that?
downhill, just more for leisure when I would go to bike parks on a
Right.
weekend just for fun, or local trails, but not officially racing downhill. I'm more into racing against other people. So the gated racing, going into a berm, side by side, throwing elbows with somebody.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the world I knew in BMX and mountain cross, and I enjoyed that a little bit more. I mean, downhill is fun, but I like to be on the track with other people.
Yeah. Back in the day, I used to fantasize about going to North Shore, back in the days of like peer to
Yep.
peer file sharing and stuff. I would download all these videos of mountain bike racing. And I loved watching the videos of North Shore and stuff like that. And it was just amazing to me. Do you do stuff like that at all?
There are some select wooden features up at. I train a lot up at the Santa Clarita Bike Park, and they've built
Right.
some wooden, kind of like mini North Shore, not as spectacular as that, but um, really anything on two wheels, anything where you could go fast, hit turns. If you could do jumps, great. If you could hit other people, if you could strategize and get physical in a turn with other racers, like
Right.
that's just the world that I knew from BMX. So I enjoy that kind of racing.
That's,
Um,
yeah, it's amazing. The other thing I want to talk about, let's talk a little bit about, well, what would you like to talk about next?
well, during all that time that I was kind of experimenting on other two-wheeled sports, I did about a year in velodrome racing,
Oh,
and my
cool.
dad, my dad also picked it up. He ended up being here at Encino Velodrome, our local track. He was like state champion for something like 20 years in a row. It
I'm
was
gonna
amazing.
pan. I'm gonna pan through some of these pictures real fast, just to kind
Sure.
of show our viewers the other things that you have sent me in the past here. So this thing here, oh, let me get to it. Sorry about that. There we go. So this one here is what?
So, okay, kind of jumped ahead of me on that
I'm
one. What I
sorry
was
about
going to
that.
say is no problem, no problem. So, the Experience Racing Velodrome, really, I love that. That was very exciting. And I just started to research board track racing, turn of
Okay.
the century motorcycle racing. And I just really dug those board track racers. So, first venture into motorcycling became this Honda CB750, the 77 that you're looking at right there.
Yeah, it's
Uh,
beautiful, man.
Thank you, man. Thank you. Without having ever touched a motorcycle, really, I bought that as a CB750 and I wanted to turn it into a cafe racer. So basically,
It is
started as a
beautiful.
Honda 77 CB750, and in the end, hopefully, it looks like a Norton cafe racer. That's what I was going for. So
I'll tell
that.
you something.
Mhm.
This bike here, it's beautiful. It really is. I don't know if
Thank you.
not many people know I'm in the market for a motorcycle myself. I'm looking at Indians right now. This one reminds me kind of like of the Royal Enfield models that I've seen over there at Indian in New Braunfels, Texas. But that's a beautiful bike, man.
Thank you.
So let's go
Funny you
back.
should say that because my next bike was, I don't have a picture up to send you, unfortunately, but I then took a Royal Enfield and I also turned it into a
Ah,
cafe racer.
oh, cool. Yeah,
So,
that's something
yeah,
I'll have to add to the feed later on.
yeah.
If we get a time to after this recording is done, we'll go ahead and add that into our Facebook site, and that way people can see it. So let's move on a little bit.
Yeah,
Um,
so basically this experience gave me a little bit of confidence.
yeah,
I obviously I've wrenched on my BMX and mountain bikes all my life.
yes,
My dad taught me how to do it, and like most dads who are racers and teach their kids, you got to know how to work on your bike. And this was
absolutely.
my first venture into motorbikes. But the velodrome experience and the thought of a board track racer just never left my mind.
And
And I don't
when
know how or where I stumbled upon a picture of a Phatmoto somewhere, but I saw that bike and I immediately saw
let's
the
talk,
platform for a board
yeah,
track racer custom built.
very
Go
good.
ahead.
Let's
Sorry.
look at that bike real fast, okay?
Mhm.
There it is,
So yeah, that is the original Phatmoto all terrain Phatmoto AT
the
20
2023, right?
2023
Yeah.
that I bought. Phatmoto is just like 10 minutes away from my house. I could almost walk there. They're so close to me.
You're so lucky,
And
dude. You are so lucky to be that close to Mr. Nader himself,
yeah,
and some of the other guys like Lorenzo and everybody.
yeah. Unfortunately for
Big,
Nader and
big
Sam,
shout out
I'm
to them.
yeah, yeah. Unfortunately for them, I'm close enough to bug them all the time now. But yeah, they're really close to me. So
did
this
you
was
say?
my first bike.
Did you say unfortunately or fortunately, sir?
Unfortunately for them, yeah, I'm always
Right.
over there.
So yeah. So I really like
So
this design. When I first saw this bike, okay, when I first saw your bike, I was like, I thought to myself immediately, this bike is going to be someday on the cover photo. And look at you.
well,
Bam.
bam.
So yes, that's amazing, dude. From that to that, it's an amazing feat, dude. And I remember talking to you when Carl first introduced me to you. It was kind of like, and everybody knows Carl, Mr. Carl Dean, Mr. Dean,
The Moto Guru
the
himself.
Voodoo Guru himself. Yes, and this guy is not only good at fat motos, he has
Well,
a very big history in karting as well. So, I hope to get him on the show later on too, sometime. But this bike here, uh, dude, it screamed to me. And I was just like, wow, that custom gold leaf logo. And dude, you still owe me
I
a,
do, I do.
you do.
You may be one step closer to that.
I have stickers on this thing. Okay. On this, oh, where is it? Right over here.
Yeah.
I have stickers on that and I need that logo on this box. and my
Very
bike.
good.
I had my silver racer out there, the Rover that I got out there. So I would like that sticker on there if possible.
Cool.
But
So
yeah, man.
this is my first venture. Obviously, this isn't a straight out of the box. This is already very
Yeah.
custom. The only things that are original on this are the frame
Yep.
and the back
This is
wheel and the
this one
motor.
predates this one predates your custom work that we're going to talk about a little bit later.
Yep, yep,
So this is actually just a custom AT 2023 model that's been
yep.
stripped down. You have the original wheels on there. Am I correct?
The back wheel is the original 4-inch wide by 26
Right.
inch wheel. I threw out the knobby. I put on a street tire, and on the front, I put on a 29-inch by 3-inch
I remember that
wheel and
now.
tire.
Yes.
So
Now is your cafe racer that you have now, which is this bike, is that the same arrangement?
no, no,
No.
very different. Yeah.
Okay. We'll
And
talk
we'll
about that
talk
in a little
about,
bit.
yeah, and there's specific reasons for that. But yeah, so basically I changed up the front wheel. I wanted to once again emulate that 4-track racer look, so with a
Yes.
bigger wheel in front. And I was going to eventually change out the back wheel, but I really like the stance. It just looks mean with that smaller, fat mullet
It
look.
does. Yes,
You
it
know,
does.
it's a good stance. So I kind of left it that way. It's got the original Lifen 79cc engine.
Yep.
All I did was I put on an AR pipe.
Yeah, and you have the
Got
muffler one like Leo Resnick has.
right,
So
right,
yes,
yeah.
that's
So
that is
that helped, and I did a governor delete on it, and I changed the
okay.
back gearing down to a 44 tooth,
Right.
and that brought the speed of that bike. Otherwise, the engine is
Roughly
stock. It's not touched at all. It's stock, and that brought it up to 40 miles an hour, making those
40.
changes on that bike. 40, yeah.
Wow. I see. I'm running a 44, but I weigh. How much do you weigh, sir?
I weigh 180, probably figure 190 with gear.
I'm 195, 196. I haven't gotten mine up that fast yet. I'm gonna try to. When
You know what
that's
it is? You know why?
I don't.
It's the SoCal air. We have faster air. That's why we're all so fast out
It
here.
helps push you.
West Coast is the best coast. Remember
It
that.
is, dude. I told you earlier. I love California. I'd love to come out there and visit again. I have family out there. My favorite area is Gilroy, of all places. I love it out there. As a child, I'd go out there to Gilroy and up to Sea Ranch, which is a place that has lots of hippie type stuff over there. So
Right.
yeah, that's just my past like that. But
Very good.
I'd love to come out there again and actually be on the track with you sometime soon. I'd like to
That would
talk
be
about
awesome.
that. And so you want to talk about a little bit about your racing now?
Yeah. Well, let's jump into the next iteration of this bike, which was appropriate called the Phatmoto Phoenix. So it rose from the ashes, and what I wanted to do is I wanted to change the color scheme from the stock matte gray of the other frame.
Yep.
I wanted to reinforce the frame in case I dropped a powerful engine. So the first thing I did was I tore apart the gray bike, took this frame over to James at Ghetto Bikes down
I'm
in.
blowing it up for a reason there, y'all.
I see that. Yeah.
You see that, y'all? That right there is reinforced, and that will
Yeah.
not crack. Okay, we had I had someone else on the podcast a while back, Toaster. His frame, I believe, is now with one of your other sponsors, Gemini Wheels.
Yeah.
Okay, so he has that frame.
Yeah, he had an issue with that. Well, he also dropped the
Yeah,
212 without reinforcing
exactly,
it.
without reinforcing it. And you did the reinforcements with. That's not a 49cc, y'all. We all know that.
Yeah.
That's a 79.5, right?
It's not a 79 either. That's a 98cc.
Oh, wow.
So real quick, so just to wrap up on the frame. So we reinforced the frame with Ghetto Bikes.
Yes.
He changed the box gusset and he put on a thicker chainstay on there. At that point, I didn't know what engine I was going to drop in, but I knew I was going to go performance.
Right.
So the next step was Carl connected me with Gemini, and Gemini was interested in having me do some prototype testing and some work with them, and basically that turned into the Gemini factory sponsorship. So I'm their factory test pilot.
Yes.
And that brought us on those wheels the gold wheels on the bike. We built those. You were asking me before if I did the same size on the wheels, and what we did, take me back to the red bike for a second, there,
Sure.
Holton, if you can. What we did on the wheels is we went with a 26-inch by 2.85 rim on the front and 24 by 2.85 on the back. That
I
allowed
was
us to
wondering.
that
I was
allowed us to
wondering.
stretch the 2.5-inch hookworms on there, which are kind of the standard go-to
Man, I wish
bike
I had my
tire in
hookworms right
racing.
here. I have some hookworms laying right behind me. I wish I had grabbed them to show people these hookworms. These are the go-to, you know, tires for motorized bicycling. I'm thinking now, and I don't know if how many people I know. I know a whole. It's more than a handful of people. It's a bunch of people in the Builds Mods and Info group that are using these tires as well as I and you. I believe Carl runs them as well, if I'm not
Yeah,
mistaken.
it's probably
Um,
the most popular tire on the track, and I've ridden for Maxxis in the
Now,
past as a mountain biker, and I actually reached out recently to see if they'll come on board as an official co-sponsor
I
for
think
the
that would
next
be
season.
amazing. That would be
Yep.
amazing, dude, because these are really good tires. I literally, I work at a farming place in Texas, and I ran over a pallet staple, and yeah, it went through, but it was so hard to pull out because that rubber is so hard. You know, they're really good tires. They are
Yep.
really good tires, and they have
Ma-
wall to wall tread, wall to
yeah,
wall tread.
Maxxis are really well known. Their sidewalls really for mountain biking.
Yes.
You'll never slice a sidewall on the Maxxis the way you would with other
Oh
tires. So
yeah.
really good, and
I
the texture on it is great for the
I
track.
can't
You really
I can't tell
does
you
the
how many
job.
Velociraptors I shredded.
Yeah.
The Velociraptor tire by believe it was MTB that made that brand a while back in the late '90s, early 2000s. That was the tire I ran on my bike,
Yeah.
Velociraptor.
So
But yeah,
so basically, what we did with Will at Gemini Wheels is first of all, I said, can we get some color on there? And he's like, oh,
yeah,
my wheels are silver. I said, look into anodizing. Luckily, he did, and
right.
he found somebody local that was reasonable. So I said, what we
That
want to
did an
do
amazing
is
job too.
we want these wheels to be noticed. So I want the rims to be gold, and I want the hubs to be black. Now you can't really see it in that picture. So what he made me was a prototype rear hub just for racing. So this is
Wow.
a wide hub to fit the Phatmoto
Now,
AT has a wider, tire spacing in the chainstays as well as the
yes,
fork. So he made a race hub. We wanted to do a hub that kind of looked like the old BMX Campy Super Record high flange hub.
Campanello.
And he was able to shave this down to 25% of the weight of the original hubs.
Oh
So this is
wow.
an ultra lightweight,
Without
wide hub without
hindering anything.
sacrificing strength. No, this
Wow.
wheel survived with no problem. And in
Well,
addition to that, he ran it so you could put the rotor on the right hand side away from the motor chain on the other side. And he created this adapter to run a
yeah,
pitbull
pit bike rotor.
caliper brake with
Yes.
the rotor. It's a custom rotor. Now, this is a prototype rotor. The final generation is already out.
And
These wheels had pictures of those sharing with the
I can kind
logo
of
on
blow
there.
that up right now. I can show that to everybody. That right there, you can see that is the pit bike rotor, y'all.
Mm-hmm.
And that is it's a little grainy. I'm sorry about that, y'all. But that is the actual caliper that Will Kidd provides with the package, I believe.
Yep, with the
He
pit brake
does.
caliper.
Yes, and that's Mr. Will Kidd. I've had him on the show as well, and he's an amazing guy to talk to. You know, um, I ordered
He's an
some.
amazing designer. He works
He
quickly
is.
too. We
Everything is
we were
parked.
we were on a
Everything.
deadline, and he basically built from scratch this hub from
Wow.
nothing, from concept, from pitch to laced and on my bike in just a couple of months. It was amazing how
Yeah.
fast him and Sean, who he works with, worked on this. And so you see the result. It was a great wheel. I knew it was going to be noticed by folks. The fact that it's a wider wheel and runs a wider bicycle rim and bicycle tire, which we'll get into in a second when we talk about racing,
Yep.
was different on the track and very much noticed. The final major piece, besides that beautiful paint job, Steve at Premier Powder Coating created that color just for me. We call it Cherry Seri and
Yes.
Cherry, and it's kind of like a dark cherry candy apple
And
candy
I've
apple metallic.
that's kind of my little nickname for you too, is Cherry Sari.
Yeah.
Yeah, man. It's a beautiful bike. I love it. It's very eye catching. I know when you're racing the corners, man. I just having the other team members, or not team members, but your other components, just seeing that gold come up on their butts. Yeah,
It
it's
definitely
intimidating. It's
it's
intimidating.
noticeable. It's noticeable.
It isn't noticeable, but it's very intimidating too. By the way,
Um,
are you gonna leave that light on there for the races?
no,
I didn't think so.
that's not allowed. That was a little gift from the boys at Phatmoto when I went over there the other day. But the final piece I did want to talk about, which is obviously crucial if we're talking about racing, is the engine. So
Yes.
I took out the stock 79cc four-stroke Lyfin, and I went back and forth with Carl. So Carl Dean, who's the moderator of the Phatmoto mods group, he has,
Builds
as
mods
you
and info.
mentioned, an extensive history in both go-kart and road racing, motorcycles,
Yes.
and speedway, and his son and his dad. Like, it's a family of racers, and he
Yes.
taught me everything that I know about
We're in the
motors,
same boat
engines.
here. We're in the
You
same
know,
boat.
he was
Carl has taught
amazing.
me. Carl is really the backing of this group, I believe. And Charles Dancer is the creator of the group. And Charles, I want to give a shout out to you as well, man. It's good to be back.
Yep.
Um, you know, but Carl, he helped me originally with my jack shaft on my Rover, my 2020 Rover, which I now have stripped down, and I have the Gemini wheels on there. Everything. I should have probably put my bike up in there too, but man, he gave me so much help, and I know he's helped you out a lot. Just the same, Carl, you're an amazing guy.
Yeah, Carl's amazing. I call him my Moto Jedi. He's
I've
taught me
had
everything that I know.
everything,
Everything. Yeah.
everything. Yes,
So we went back and forth a lot on obviously, there are a lot of choices in engines, and what we landed on is this 98cc. So this is sold by Go Power Sports, but it's basically a Predator. It starts as a P79, a Predator 79 kind of body, and they make it a little bit bigger. They bump it up to 98cc,
yep.
and everything that's made. This is the important part here, and this is part of our decision on this engine, was that everything that's made for the Predator 79cc fits on this bike, and which
Nice.
leads us to the next step. So essentially, once we decided that was going to be a great starting point, I built those two engine mounts at the bottom of the engine. Let me see
Yeah.
here. I've got my prototype mount here. So I made one first out of aluminum,
Okay, that's nice.
and once I fitted it and everything was good, then I went on and I made those out of steel tubing. That square steel tubing came from my late father's body shop, and so there's a piece of my dad on that bike that was just like
Wow.
rolling with me during the races, looking over, making sure I got through it okay. Um,
In a way, that's your guardian.
my guardian engine mounts there.
Yeah.
Um, so then the next step was like, okay, great, we got this platform that we could get a lot of performance parts from AGK. AGK is
Aha.
Affordable Go Karts. Um,
You want me
it's
to go and
run
show
by,
that real fast?
yeah, sure.
Yeah, let's bring
It's
up Shane.
There you go, Shane. Shane is the man. This is another
You can
guru
tell
mentor.
this guy works. Look at his head.
Yeah, he's
Look
got
at
grease
that. Look at that,
everywhere.
y'all. He's got brake dust and everything on him. He's the man to go to with
Yeah,
AGK right there.
I went up to see him. His shop is in Santa Barbara. It's a beautiful drive up there. And I pulled in, and he was assed
Santa
up
Barbara.
inside a Mazda engine. He
Yeah,
he was,
man.
you know,
Oh,
true
I
to his
love Santa
nature,
Barbara.
he was wrenching up there when I met him, and he basically he helped me take the engine. We took it up to what he offers on his website, basically a stage 3 that he offers. He does a further step of bumping up. If you were to bring him a 79, he would bump it up to 105 cc.
Oh
But
wow,
basically, short of that, he did everything that's in his stage 3 package to my engine, and came on as a supporter. So I'm very happy to
nice.
have. I've got like two angels on my shoulders between Carl and Shane. I have some heavy
You have
duty
some heavy duty.
mentorship.
You have some big guns there.
Yeah, yeah. So they built out. Shane built out the engine, and I actually back here, I have a second 98 cc. That's my street engine, and we'll
Nice.
eventually play around with that, and have some fun. But that's going to be what I ride on the street. Obviously, you don't want to ride your race engine as a daily rider because
I tell you something, you ever sell one of
it
those, I got dibs.
would.
I got dibs. So
Well,
yeah,
funny enough, Phatmoto and Gas Bike. I mean, Gas Bike is their other website that has a lot
yes,
of motorized bike components. They do offer the 79 cc version, which
yes,
is just like
and
this engine.
just to make sure everybody knows that that Fat Moto, gas bike, and what is the other one? Is
Kings.
it King's bike? King's motorbikes is they're all the same. They're pretty much right.
Right. So you could shop for a lot of
A
these
lot of different
components.
things that the same people
You know,
offer, but it's just different websites.
Yeah,
So
so that's
uh,
offered through there, and then once you're ready to hot rod it and start
and
going
really start.
performance, you take it to AGK, and
Yep,
they have a whole section that's the Predator 79 cc section. All of those components would fit these engines, so
nice,
there's a lot
very
there
very
to pick
nice.
from, and obviously he'll also do custom work on the engine itself for you
Yes.
if you want to take it that far and get into racing. So
Oh,
that was a bike, so we had a bike. Now we're ready to go to the track and
so
and
about
race.
racing, let's kind of look at this. So these are all your sponsors here. This is
Yes, yes.
your nameplate.
I got to mention the other person that was in my corner through this is my full factory sponsor for mountain bike racing, and that's Mike Flaherty. Mike owns Tor and Arc. He's one of the partners there. His background is with Atom Lab. He's the guy that literally invented the low profile BMX mountain bike platform pedal.
Oh wow, very
Before
nice.
him, you had the Shimano DX and all the tall pedals. He's the one that did the very, very low profile
Low
pedals.
profile that you have on
And
one of your bikes I've seen.
I run that on my race bike, and he was supporting me in this. So what we did here with Tor is Tor created a prototype 35 millimeter wide diameter handlebar for me, and
Right.
a stem. The stem is it looks like a downhill stem, but it's a traditional stem with this amazing locking system that keeps everything tight.
That's
Knowing
beautiful.
the intense revolutions of the engine and the vibrations that come with that and the torque and all, I had to be confident that whatever I put on my bike wasn't going to break. So he did
Right.
that. He also designed this custom number plate. Sonic Plates used to be in the 90s his number plate company,
Right.
and I had one. Before I even knew him, and he made me a new face for this with all the
Oh
sponsors. So
nice.
to round out sponsors, we have Fast House for our gear and Vans, woohoo, for our
Yeah.
feet, and yeah, and that's basically the setup. We were ready to go to the races.
Awesome.
So uh,
So okay, we got AGK's logo here. Gemini, Fat Moto, and now we're at the races. So here we go. Now, just real fast, I'm gonna go and briefly flow through some of these photos here. If you want to talk
that's
about some of them at the same time.
Yeah, Soul Cycles was a company out of Arizona when I was first racing four cross mountain cross. I was sponsored by them. I designed this suspension frame. It's hard to read, but it's the Alejandro Seri signature
And
frame.
this picture here reminds me. By the way, I am not sponsored by Fox, so Wish I could take that off right now.
Yeah, we got to get you a Fast House
I
hat.
We really do. We really do. I need some swag. I need some swag from probably somebody along the lines, that I can just wear a swag shirt, So here's the next thing here. We got the black and white.
Yes. So what we did was I designed the jersey. I was taking kind of inspiration
Hmm.
up here hanging on the wall. You see my mountain bike jersey, my Tour factory jersey,
Yeah.
and I wanted to do something white. The stripe sleeves is something kind of iconic from the early days of racing. And the way I pitched it to Will was your gold wheels are going to shine in the sun. Everybody's going to say, "What is that?" You just don't see these wheels in gold, and they're
Right.
going to look up and they're going to see this clown wearing the striped jersey, and they're
Oh
going to
my gosh.
hunt me down in the pit
Um,
area and say, "What are those wheels?" And then I'll say, "Hey, it's a Gemini."
a
Uh,
coworker of mine said you look like a mime.
yeah, I am.
A mime. I was like, no. Okay, so
we're,
here we
we're in a
go.
clown factory run by mimes.
Yes. So here we go. Here's your helmet. This is the back side of it.
Yep.
AGK
So
big and big as day,
big
and
as day,
Tor big as day,
tour.
and you got the back side of Phatmoto builds mods and info there.
Yep, that's the
This is a
official
cool
club
photo.
sticker. Thank you.
This is a really cool photo. I like it. It's wearing that jersey we just featured earlier, with the 746.
Yep. Which is
And
the
this,
same number I run in mountain biking and BMX. So there you go.
yes. So there you go. Um, Tell me a little bit about this picture.
Yeah.
Where were you?
Oh, this is up north, Northern California. We went to the Frogtown Classic. It's a vintage BMX race. It's
Nice.
old school 70s downhill. And they actually,
Cool.
for the first time ever, did a mountain bike dirt jumper class. And I raced it and I won. So that was like 2 weeks before the race up at Apple Valley on the
Wow.
Phatmoto.
That's cool.
That was a blast. That was a very fun race.
So here's something.
Oh, yeah.
Win for Carl.
Yeah, Carl's the man. So there are a lot of little Easter eggs when you design your own jersey. You could have a lot of
Yes.
fun, and so that is on my left hand. So when I'm at the start line and I look down, it's the last reminder to try to win for Carl. On my right sleeve, for a couple of years now, I've always run also win for Hito. Hito was my father, big
Okay.
part of my racing life. Passed away 2 years ago, so I had my both of my inspirations, and that's the last thing I see before the gate drops or before we hit the throttle
Yep.
and go on a race. So that's my little thank you to Carl for all his mentoring and help.
Yes. Very good. Okay, so here's a side picture of your bike. I really
Yes.
like this, and I like how you put it in the trainer.
Yeah.
Very smart. Very smart. I should grab my trainer for my friend of mine and be able to hold my bike like that.
Yeah. I had to
Uh,
modify that a little bit to fit
did you?
the
I was about to ask you to hit the wide tires and back. You had to.
and also the bigger axles on the Gemini wheels. You go from the little 3/8,
Yes,
you
you go from
bump
a 3
up.
8 to 12
So
millimeter or half, I believe
yeah,
it
so we
is.
took the angle cutter to the little cups on the trainer, but
Yeah.
and took off the cylinder. But yeah, that basically holds it up, and another place to throw stickers. So that is the new Phatmoto Cafe Racer headlight. When I
Yeah.
went to visit the boys at the
That's
headquarters,
cool.
they
You
gifted
know,
me that for
you
street
were
riding, and
telling me, because a lot of people are interested in these things,
yes,
that they're rechargeable.
yes,
So how
they
long does
are.
it last on a charge?
I don't know yet. I've still got to
Kind of play
charge it
with it.
up and see. But yeah, it has a little waterproof plug here that
Yeah,
you put in. It's a typical USB charger, super convenient,
very
and
convenient.
you charge it up, and it's really bright. So yeah, I went there, and they thought it looked perfect on the Springer forks, and they put it on.
Yeah,
Sam himself, who's one of the co-owner with Nader, he wrenched on the bike and he threw that on there. How cool is
that's
that?
nice. Yeah, that's really cool. So here's the Builds Mods and Info logo. We need to
Yes.
talk a little bit about them. Builds Mods and
Yep.
Info it was my original forte for Facebook groups when it came to Phatmoto, and that's what got me into this podcast. Uh, Phatmoto Builds Mods and Info is run by Charles Dancer, and we have several great moderators that are in
Yeah.
there, including Carl Dean and Andrew Leno, I believe is
Andrew's
his.
great too, and
Andrew's a
Tim.
great guy, and Tim, yes, Tim are Bo Brummel on YouTube, I believe is his YouTube channel. Everybody can watch that too.
Yep.
So that's a little bit about Phatmoto builds, mods, and info. There's the other great photo of you on your bike. Um, so we're gonna go into the racing stuff now.
Yes.
Is that cool?
Absolutely.
So I'm gonna have to thumb forward a couple times. Let's go ahead and get you in the Phatmoto warehouse there.
Yeah.
So that's the man. Uh, everybody saw this picture and thought this must be the owner. I heard, because
I
everybody was
wish.
directing you directions. Oh gosh, I got tongue twisted.
They were shooting me
Um,
questions, asking about the
yes,
big sale. So that's what's left of their 2023 models. They're blowing out right now. It's just like giving them away. And
right.
they wanted to. I thought it'd be cool to take a picture to really remind everybody out there. Once those are gone, they're gone.
Yes, once they're gone, they are gone,
They are
y'all.
gone. Don't
We'll talk a
hesitate.
little bit about that more in a little bit. So
Mm-hmm.
I'm just gonna thumb through these photos before we have to switch over to the actual race photos.
Yep.
So that right there, what was that? That's one of Shane's
That
bikes, right?
that's AGK. That is, I think, one of the last bikes that Shane raced there at Apple Valley. Take note of those cool 3-inch wide rims with the
Yes.
2.5-inch hookworm. So the first thing we talked about was tires, and when he heard that I was running wide rims and the 2.5 and stretching the
So
2.5
they're two
hookworms
point.
on there, the 2.5, they're 2.5 inches
Yeah,
wide, and it
you
kind of
stretched it.
spreads out the profile by putting them on a slightly wider rim.
Yeah.
He
So I can.
immediately liked that, and that bike was literally hanging over our heads. He goes, "That's what I ran," and we just like hit it off from that moment on. Like he really believes in that wheel
So do you
setup,
think
rim
here,
setup.
this is where I have a question for you?
Mm-hmm.
So when I get my new bike that I ordered, because I took advantage of that special, by the way.
Oh yeah.
I did take advantage of that special, and I paid the $200. So I'll be getting one of the Captain America, I believe it is, the all terrain.
Mm-hmm.
So will I be able to run my hookworms on those rims that come with it, or no?
So
Probably not,
so
right?
so the Phatmoto AT comes with 4-inch wide rims. I mean,
Ah,
can you stretch it on there? Yes,
yeah,
but
but it
it's
would be safe,
really
would it?
it's going to bring it down really low. The
Really
guys
low
that do
profile.
the hot rod cruisers, they don't have motors. They do that all the time. It looks wicked. It looks really
Yeah,
good. But I don't know if I'd go quite
that
that far.
low.
I think
Yeah,
you'd be better off throwing on your Geminis
my
and doing it with
Gemini's.
the Geminis. Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I was. That's the other thing I was thinking about doing is running the Gemini's on it.
Yep.
So yeah, let's keep on going here.
Yeah.
So this one here,
Yep, that was
this was
my last picture on the gray iteration of my bike. That's when I was really starting to think about what to do with it next, which ended up being the Phoenix, the red bike. But
yep,
yeah, that's out on a cruise with my cool Fast House Hot Wheels jersey.
very
And once
nice.
again, the wannabe board track racer guy, and you can see that from the look.
Right.
I just love that stuff. Just
So
really cool.
this is kind of a cool photo right here. I like
Oh
it.
yeah, that's me riding at Sopwee Bike Park in Thousand Oaks. That's one of my regular training spots for mountain
Nice.
biking, hitting the big jump section. Yeah, I like that pic.
That's cool, man. Here we go. Where's this
Oh
taken?
yeah,
That's an awesome photo.
yeah, nice flat tabletop cross up. That's over at down south, closer to San Diego, Menifee pump track. That's an asphalt pump track. So picture a BMX track, but with
Right.
asphalt instead of dirt, and you don't pedal. It's all arm and leg pumping. So I race that. That's a whole other sport too.
Wow,
And
dude.
they just opened up a new pump track by LAX Airport in Inglewood. But
Very
yeah,
nice.
I do a lot of pump track racing, and that really prepared me also for handling the G's and
The
handling
G
asphalt
forces.
turns on slick tires because we don't run knobbies on these. We run, you can see they're
Weren't
slick.
you scared, dude? Weren't you scared on the track? Yeah, I would be. I know when I go into turns here in my little town of Pearsall, it's really, whew. It's
I
scary
gotta
sometimes.
say, I was confident that my mountain bike and BMX skills were going to serve me well on the track, and I had talked through every minutia of racing with Carl, so I feel like
Yeah,
I pre-visited. and in my head, I raced that track a million times before that day. I was not scared. And the moment I got on, I did my first 2 laps on practice day on Friday. And
Tell me you didn't go full bore at first. Did you?
by the third lap, I went full bore. So first two
Sweet.
to just, okay, before I even rode
Oh,
it,
this guy's a pro.
what I did is I walked the track like any racer on any track. You walk the track if they allow you. I walked it. I crawled the track. There were places where there were oil stains. I got on my hands and knees and I put
Yeah.
my fingers on the stain. I wanted to know, was it still oily? Is this going to be a slippery spot where you could slide out? I was feeling
Yeah.
the texture of the track, and so I did it safely. I did my first 2 laps, and I instantly felt super comfortable on it. And by the third lap, I was hitting it hard, and
Wow.
leaning hard in the turns. So
So
it was exhilarating. I didn't have a chance to be scared. I was fully confident in my bike because I had built it myself, and I felt like it was safe, and I
yeah,
knew it was going to perform. And just my body and the bike, we just became one. I know it sounds cheesy, but we were just one, and we were flowing. And
that's
now I
amazing.
wasn't the
That's
fastest
that's
bike
that's
out there
almost
by no means,
that's almost
but
beautiful, man. That's almost art. It's like it's an artistic, beautiful thing. You just flow, and I know that feeling. When I first got my new fork that I have right now, it's a Bucklows fork. You adjust the rebound and everything just right, and you feel like you're floating. But I can't wait to feel what the AT frame feels like. That's what I want to feel. And
that bike is really it's amazing. It's longer and lower than the traditional Phatmoto Rover.
yes,
It's
that's what
longer.
I'm gonna feel. That's what
Yeah,
I'm gonna feel different.
it's lower than longer than the felt fakers.
Mhm.
Um,
Which
you
a
got the
lot of the
wider
racing world
rims.
is using, correct?
Oh,
A lo-
absolutely. I'd say
Yeah.
that 90% of the race bikes out there were on felt fakers.
Were you
Uh,
up? You were up against two strokes too, weren't you?
oh yeah, it was a whole mix, 2 strokes, and there were a few 212s in the race too.
I'm gonna go
Predator 4-stroke
just
212s.
kind of keep rolling here.
Oh yeah.
Wow. Tell me what the heck.
That's my
Okay.
board tracker helmet.
Yeah. All right. So little bit of your uniform there.
Yep.
It's another awesome photo.
Oh yeah,
Like
that's
it.
at my teammate's house. Rick Nolte. He has his own dirt jump track built in his
Nice.
yard. So that's up in Palmdale. We go up there and ride. Shout out to Rick. He's having a little bit of health issues right now, so we hope he rebounds quickly, and
Yeah.
sending out those healing vibes to him. Great, great guy. Oh my God, you got to see this guy ride. He'll coast backwards downhill for like 2 miles on his bike. Just like he's an amazing
Wow, that's
trick
cool.
rider and flatland
So,
rider.
all right, cool.
So yeah, at the track, things just kind of came together, and so I spent the first day just getting familiar and pushing myself, and uh, I was
while
literally the only person on the track for a couple of hours that first
while you're
day.
talking, I'm gonna go and switch over to the racetrack photos. Okay.
Okay.
So go ahead and keep on going there.
Yeah. So essentially, I took advantage of having the track almost to myself. I felt very safe and comfortable. I knew nobody was gonna, smack into me from the back if they were going much faster. So that gave me the ability to really learn about racing, learn the track. Oh, I gotta say, man, these guys at the SoCal Motorized Bicycle Racing Association, uh, Sean, Cliffy, Oscar, Sean's dad, Liam, all these guys were amazing. They embraced me. They
Yes.
knew I was a rookie, and they made sure that I was safe. They gave me great advice. They even helped me take the bike off the truck. I was there with my son Sebastian. He was
Wow.
my one-man pit crew, but it was great to have all these guys. Really, I never felt like an outsider, and never felt like a dork, like a rookie, a newbie. These
Right.
guys were fantastic. They instantly boosted my confidence just talking to them before I even got on the
That's amazing.
track. They were
That's amazing.
amazing, and
So
yeah, man, I
let's
just
go
took
ahead and look at
advantage
the
of that.
track real fast.
Yep.
So check this out. This is one of them turns.
Yes. That is
So
that is coming out of the last turn before you hit the final long straightaway, and you can see just kind of starting to get into the lean there. Um,
yeah.
yeah, I got to say, for anybody thinking about racing, you definitely should try it. I guarantee you that you'll be
I
addicted.
want to. I want to try it. Like if I could get to come out there at some point, I'd love to get on the track with you and just have fun.
It it,
That's all I want to do.
it was such a
And
thrill.
the I just want to have the experience of saying, yeah, I've done it.
Yep.
It's like kind of like a bucket list kind of thing, but
Yep.
I ain't dying or nothing anytime soon. I hope not. Guardian Bell, where are you?
And you
So
basically you go there for a whole day on Friday. It's practiced, and you do your qualifying run once they put the sensor on your.
so there's a sensor that keeps track of
Yeah,
stuff.
this little thing here. I don't know if you could see it, but a little flap, and they use
Let me
that to do the
let me
timing.
let me blow you back up real fast so that I can see if we can see that. Nah,
Right over here.
can't.
They zip tie it to your fork.
Ah,
But
yeah,
you basically, you pay your race fee, and that buys you the race, and it buys you the extra day before of practice, and it's just barely a little bit more than you would pay if you were just paying to practice at any track on any day of the week, if you could even get in on a motorbike, because you can't get in on all the tracks. And
right.
I would encourage anybody. I showed up there. They opened the gates at 9. I was there 9 on the dot. The middle of the Mojave Desert. It was an amazing drive up there. Really cool
That's
location.
amazing.
And
Yeah.
I got on the track, man, for hours. I had that thing to myself, and I just learned how to ride it. But
Yes.
I
Now, when did your fuel line get messed up? Because I saw your fuel line earlier. It was pretty dangled.
so I had noticed right before my main that well, it's not up here, it's up there. My fuel line was kind of close to my air filter, and the air filter had kind of a tin metal edge to it, and it started cutting
Right.
into the fuel line.
I've been there,
And
but when I was on my two stroke,
you check your
I,
bike, of course, every bolt, everything, every time you get on the track, you do your best to look at everything. And I noticed that it was
and you
cutting
still
my fuel
can't
line.
guarantee nothing's going to go
Oh
wrong.
no,
You
no.
still can't guarantee it
I
as
mean, things
that
things
as an
things could
example.
happen on the track, but you do your best to be safe, and you do a nice
Yeah.
bike check. But anyway, yeah, I noticed the fuel line was starting to get cut, so I just grabbed electrical tape. I wrapped the fuel line. I wrapped the air filter that was cutting into it, and I was good to
Right.
go for the rest of the day there.
That's good.
Yeah.
That's good. So there's your son.
Oh yeah, my Sebastian and the one man pit
Yep.
pit crew.
Sporting the Gemini shirt.
Pardon me,
Very good.
representing.
Yes, definitely.
So in essence, it was a great experience. It was exhilarating. I never got scared. I was able to apply my biking skills, especially just leaning into the turn, hitting it hard. I was hitting a lot of turns, going in at full
Yeah.
throttle, wasn't backing off. And I did my best then to chase. This is one of the practice sessions, to chase the fast guys on the fast bikes and learn from them and learn their lines. And anytime I could get up on somebody in a turn, I would try to pass them, even if they would
Right.
blow. These guys most of them have 212 four strokes,
212 5
and
years.
on a
Force.
straightaway, they're twice as big of an engine as my
Oh
98.
yeah.
They pull away,
I
but
remember I remember watching one of the straightaways. They for a while when they first started the stream on that race day, I was watching and all they were doing was that one straightaway.
yeah,
It was like, and I saw you go, and I saw this guy go
yeah,
past you. I'm just like, dang.
they got some beasts out there. But
Yeah, they do.
nonetheless, I did my best to get into
So
turns with people and do some passing and feel comfortable hitting a turn hard while passing and not sliding
yeah.
out.
So this photo here is a picture of you and another guy getting ready for you to pass, correct?
Mm-hmm.
And they're looking back and they're seeing them gold rims, just like, oh man. So that's a beautiful shot
That's a nice one,
some
yeah.
Gemini. Yeah, that's an eye candy there. Now here we go.
Oh yeah, so you gotta you
There's the
gotta
gold.
you gotta inspire yourself before the race and remind yourself
Yes,
what you're there
definitely.
for. So
Yeah, definitely. So I want to know what it's like to race, dude. Like I've done, a little bit of racing just for fun as kids kind of thing. It wasn't really much of anything. Like I wasn't competing like you were. I just did it with friends at Fort Sam Houston and San Antonio on the take trails that we used to ride and stuff. And that was my racing, but I have an injury too from it. I have a tattoo, I showed you earlier that I commemorated towards that day where the chain ring went straight down my leg. That was my experience, and I stopped after that.
Yeah.
But
Uh, racing was it, once again it was amazing, and to feel that confident and comfortable on the
yes,
bike. The bike is very stable. That AT, since I first got it, I felt like it was a very stable bike. Now,
yeah,
stable on the track could mean slow as a slug, but it wasn't.
right.
It delivered for me. It really reacted. There's some S turns there where you're throwing your bike from left to right. You're leaning it hard, and it
Do you
handles
feel
it
like you're gonna
handles
come off the
well.
bike, or you just glued to the bike?
You're just glued to the bike, man. It's hard to explain, but
That's
you
beautiful.
you you just kind of you melt into the bike. Carl kept saying, an old saying that his dad used to say, you got tucked under the paint. So, I would tuck down, I would get my center of gravity as low as
Right.
possible, because obviously that's going to help you in turns. But it was
Yep.
great. It was exhilarating, and I never felt fear, and I felt confident that I was going to go into this and not make a fool out of myself, but I never imagined that I was going to win
Yeah.
my class, which is what ended up happening. So
Yeah. I knew you would place. I had a good idea you would place, but I didn't think you were going to get first place. So, let's talk a little bit about what's going to be the future.
yes,
You want to talk about the future now?
so in essence, Carl was already talking with uh, Phatmoto the day of my race.
Right.
He was behind the scenes like a manager, like an
I'm
agent.
going to take these photos down real fast
Hmm.
and put the Phatmoto ones back up just real fast. Keep on going.
And they were very excited that this was the first Phatmoto on the track and that things were looking good. And of course, I started winning. I won the first two heats. Uh, I was able to pass. So they had us in a combined heat. My class was GP3, and they had us combined with the faster guys in GP2. Most of those
I'm about
guys
to get
have
that up here.
bigger engines, faster engines. And I managed to win all my heats in the final within my group, and I even picked off one of the GP2 riders in every race. Just was able to put a
So,
pass in and get in front of them, and then
this is
eventually
what
fell
you're
back.
talking about right here. This is what you'll be talking about, correct? Or is it the other one
I'm
that
not
I need to
seeing it.
pull up? You're not seeing it? Uh-oh.
Nope.
Oh, okay, there it is. Sorry about that. There you go.
So you
Is
kind
this
of
what you're talking about?
jumped ahead of
I jumped
me.
a little bit.
Yeah. So
Just let me get back to that then. This is it right here. The F3, F2, F1. Is that
yeah.
my
So
correct?
we haven't gotten to that yet, but
Oh, I'm
basically,
sorry.
what resulted in all this is that Phatmoto offered me a full factory ride um, while I was at the
Wow.
race that day. I hadn't even raced my main yet, and they were already wanted to support. So the vision that Carl and I always had is to.
You know, we talked about this about 6 months ago, and you told me you had a vision
I did.
of starting a racing team and being able to have Fat Moto back you and stuff. Look where we're at.
Yeah,
We're
it's
here.
it's crazy, huh?
Yes.
You gotta pre-visualize things in your life and kind of see. It's just like a race. The night before you
Yeah.
run the race through your head, and I do that in life in general. And this was our idea. We felt like Fat Moto could show up as a
I know they
as a
can.
as a
I know
frame,
they.
as a foundation, and do well, which
Yes.
it did. And what we saw is it's such an affordable, complete bike that there was the potential there to get them involved with the race program so we could bring in
Right.
new racers. So here's what's now going to happen. I am sponsored now by Phatmoto. It's the Phatmoto Gemini team. And what they are going to do
Yes.
besides supporting me, I will be racing their new bike. It's the same bike you ordered, the Captain America. There you go.
Nice.
I'll be racing that as well as the Phoenix bike behind me, and I'll also be racing
Very
one of
nice.
their electric bikes out there. So I'll
What?
I'll be
Wait a
racing
minute.
three
Wait a minute.
different
Wait a minute.
classes.
Wait a minute. Wait a minute. Wait a minute. Wait a minute. What did you say? Electric? Did you
Electric
say
bikes,
electric?
yes, one of their e-bikes.
Oh. Nader, what are you up to?
Oh boy, and I went there. I already saw the 2024 that I want to throw a leg over to race in. So it's
Oh
already picked out,
man.
but we can't share those pictures yet. It's still a secret.
Oh, I'm just giddy over it.
So
Oh my
so
god, this is
yeah,
gonna
so
be
I'll be
nice.
racing the three classes. So I'll be racing the Red Phoenix behind me. I'll be racing the Bone Stock 2024 Phatmoto AT with the Captain America paint job, that one.
Yep.
And I'll also be
Yep.
racing this new 2024 e-bike. So what
Wow.
the race
This is gonna be
organization,
cool.
which is the SoCal Motorized Bicycle Racing Association, is going to
Right.
do is
Is this where
they
when you bring this up?
nope, not yet,
Okay.
not yet,
Not yet.
not
Oh,
yet,
sorry about that.
no problem.
So
Just
I'll just put it right back there for
let,
you.
let me explain what they're doing. So they are going to
Okay, let's
create
listen.
with us a Phatmoto spec class, and what that means is that bike that you're looking at right now with very, very little modification. The main modification on that is we're going to throw a street tire, probably this one that I have right here. This used to be my street tire before I got the Maxes for racing. This is a
Right.
Chow Yang. And once we settle on the tire, that'll be the one thing that you have to change on this bike because it comes with knobbies. It would not be safe to run knobbies on an asphalt track, of course, at speed. But other than that,
Right.
the spec class will be this bike. They have different colors. Everyone racing the same exact bike. So instead of being blown away by a 212 Predator like I was when I was on the track, everybody's got
You're
that
gonna
same
have
life and engine. It'll
yes.
be a fair field, and then
It
only the
requires
rider's
skill.
skills will determine who wins. So it'll be a
Yes.
pure kind of like the old IROC races, right? Same
Okay.
car, everybody's in the same car. So that'll be an official spec racing class through the SMVRA, and
Very
that'll be this
nice.
coming April, their next meet. Um, in
That
addition to that, Phatmoto will be at the races, and in order to create a class, to have a class, you need at least 5 racers. So I'm going to
okay.
race this spec. That's one. We need 4 more people. They will bring at least 4 more of these same exact bikes, and you could race
I tell you
that
something.
and
I'll
borrow
tell you
it
something.
and race it for free. All you got to do is pay your race fee. You bring your helmet, you bring your pads, preferably leather jacket. We'll have all those details out. You bring your personal gear, but if you don't have a motorized bike yet, you could borrow a bike just like this from Phatmoto and race it that day in the spec class and get a taste for it. And I predict that
Wow.
you will get addicted to it the
This is
same way I
big.
did.
This is big. Okay, so all I gotta do is get there on a plane, bring my wife, my baby, and I, and get on a
Yeah.
plane,
I don't think they have a baby
get on
class,
a
but
bike.
yeah, go for it.
Yeah, sorry, Willow, you're not coming. No, I'd have to bring her, but that's pretty cool.
So,
That's
so,
really
so
cool.
the reason this is being embraced by the organization is this is a way to bring in new racers. The only way a
Yes, it
sport can
is. We
continue to
need
grow and not evaporate on us is to bring in new
well,
racers. So that's the way we're going
you
to
know,
support new racers. We're taking the most expensive part of it out. Ride it, test it,
I know
see if you
several
like it.
people already want to try it. I know several people that already want to try it, and Leah Resnick being one of them. She said
Oh,
on
great.
the Build Mountain Info, she wanted to get in there. I was like, okay, that brings some attention to y'all.
That would
It
be
would,
awesome.
because and then I know several other people that are not related to the group at all that would try to do it honestly, and me included. That's fun, dude. That sounds fun to me. It's cool. I
Yeah,
like
I
that.
think it's going to be great. Now,
It's gonna be amazing.
in addition to this, oh, sorry, and also there will be a spec e-bike class, and Phatmoto is going to
Oh,
bring at least 5 e-bikes. One of them is mine. I'll be racing it, but at least 4 more. So we
do
got
we know
4 racers
which one
that
yet?
want to jump in. They could race, and they could be new racers, or it could even be some of the guys that are on gas bikes already out there that want to try e-bikes. So those
Right.
those will be the 2 new spec classes. In
Okay.
addition to this,
That's awesome.
they've created a new general class, has nothing to do with Phatmoto, but it's called the F3 class. And the F3 class,
You want me to bring that up real fast?
yeah, Now we're ready to show that. I don't know if you could zoom in so people could read it, but
Oh yeah, the F3 class, 4-stroke only, any bore, any stroke, 105 cc maximum. So that
that's a big
doesn't
deal
that
there. That's a big deal because
yeah.
basically, right out of the box,
Ooh,
a Phatmoto has a 79 cc four stroke, right?
yes,
I have a 98 cc four stroke. You could go to AGK and you could bump that four stroke as large as 105 cc's. So now, no matter what stage your engine's in, if you have a four stroke, these small blocks, you could race in your own class and you won't be mixed in with the big monster bikes that have, 212 Predators in them that are, so this is
yeah.
nice. This creates a whole
This
new
is very nice.
class for anybody. This isn't Fat Motor specific. This is just engine specific to these sizes.
Engine
And,
specific
and it gives
sizes,
you a fair chance at racing other engines
other
like yours.
engines and makes and like felt fakers and stuff like that. Definitely, that's
Totally.
cool.
Yeah.
That's really nice. I like that. And look down here. E-bikes is to be determined. Can you explain that a little bit?
Yeah, we still, Carl and I and the organization and Fat Motor, we're all talking,
We're all still talking
the,
about it.
the,
Okay,
the
we'll
idea,
leave it at that then.
the idea is to keep the bikes bone stock, but we got to look at everything. And if something needs to be changed for safety reasons,
Safety
obviously
reasons,
we're
definitely.
going to put that in the rules to make sure that that happens. That way people don't get hurt out there. Once again, the tires, you can't go out there on knobbies. So that, without a doubt, that's
Yeah,
the number
no,
one rule is
they have to be street
put on some
tires.
slicks like these, some street tires to be safe. But we don't want to allow too much customization because the whole idea is everybody's on an even machine. And it's your
Right.
skills, not, because money buys you power. If you had $10,000, you could
Oh yeah.
you
If you
could
had
build the
10, if you
fastest
had
bike
10 grand,
without a doubt. But this is all about
exactly.
an even playing field. Anyway, so these are the things that we're really excited about. Now, it just so happens for the spec class, the Fat Moto spec class, that these guys at Fat Moto, they're already doing a pre-sale on the 2024 models. That
Oh, that's right.
2024 model is going to
I'll
be the
bring that up
basis
real
for the spec
fast.
class.
Let me bring that up real fast. Do you want me to bring up that sale real fast
Yeah,
or no?
yeah. Go ahead and show it because we could talk about
Show it.
what's coming on these bikes.
There it
There you
is.
go. So right out of the box, this bike will have hydraulic disc brakes.
Disc brakes.
The old models were mechanical
Do we
cable
know if
brakes.
they're yes? Do we know if they're two piston or four piston?
I'm not sure actually. We had another picture
Okay,
that was blown up with the details. I don't know if you have it, but anyway, I'll talk you through. It
I
has
do somewhere.
a double crown downhill suspension fork.
I'm gonna look for it
So
real fast. There it is.
there you go. So I don't know if you could zoom in on that, but that shows some of the details of what's different on that bike. So that double crown
That's a
suspension
beautiful
fork,
fork.
yeah, that's great. That's going to be really helpful both on street riding and on the
Ah,
track. Oh, who's that guy jumping?
sorry about
Uh,
that. Sorry about that.
the other
Didn't
thing
mean to do
is
that.
that you are going to have seal bearings on the wheels. The older models had
Yes.
loose ball bearings, and one of the first things people did was
What?
to, upgrade
Yes.
to like a Gemini wheel set. But
Didn't Mr. Tim or Bo Brummel feature something like that on his YouTube channel? Did he? Was that him that did that? I
that
can't remember. I
did
think
what?
there was somebody in our group on Builds Mods and Info that did that starting out, and that's just what I'm remembering off from years ago, just a couple years ago. But so back to this. So this is good. I like the fact that they have the thicker. Um, that that's misconceiving right there. The 44 tooth rear sprocket is for the 32 mile per option, correct?
Yeah. So traditionally the Fat Motos came with a 56 tooth rear, this humongous dinner
50,
plate.
yeah.
52
It's
maybe.
not. I can't remember. 54. It's something in the 50s.
Something huge.
I can't remember exactly.
So you could pay slightly extra and you get a 44 tooth, which is what I ran on my bike, and that will give you a higher top end speed. And you could
Yeah.
also pay, I think it's $79 extra and get a performance pipe on there versus the little box that come on the Lifein.
Yes. And
So
everybody, I run that exhaust on my Rover. It's basically the same exhaust that I have, except mine's by a different manufacturer. So it sounds amazing. It gives you a little extra performance. It's worth the $79. It really is. I believe it's going to be a little bit louder than your stock muffler, of course, but it gives you that Tim Burton kind of thing, kind of thing,
Yeah.
um,
I mean,
the tool
those
time.
are the changes that, on my bike, with the governor and everything out of the box. Uh, it was it was slower, and I changed the pipe, just like a similar pipe to what they're going to offer. I put the 44 tooth on the life in, and I did the governor
Right.
override, and that immediately took
I,
me to 40 miles an hour. So
that's amazing.
on a street, track's one thing, but on the street, that is plenty fast. That's
That is plenty
that's
fast.
kind
You're
of
right.
scary speed when you're talking. So it's more than
Mine
enough.
mine gets up to about 32 to 35 on a good day. Sometimes it'll kick in, it'll go a little bit faster, but yeah, the max I've gotten is about 35 on my Rover, and I had the governor delete, and I have a very unique linkage on my bike that I had custom made by a friend of mine a while back, and it's a little go-kart linkage that Carl's familiar with, and it does the job.
Yep.
So
And rounding things
that's
out here, I think they have a heavier duty kickstand
yes,
and
upgraded to alloy.
yeah. So basically, this package they're doing a pre-sale. It's dropping. I believe they ship December 1st, and they're
Yes,
blowing
yes,
these
they
out
do.
on a pre-sale at $799. If you got the performance bike, you're talking about not $799. Sorry, $899, right? And with the performance bike pipe, it brings it
Yep,
up to about $978. This bike, what's
and
the
that's still a
MSRP? What's the
steal.
standard price
It's
on this?
still what's the actual retail? I believe it's like 1,400, isn't
Yeah,
it?
so that's a killer deal, man.
That is a killer deal.
And
That's
it
why
comes
that's
with,
why I couldn't pass it up. I couldn't
yeah,
pass it up.
different colors. I mean,
Uh,
I'm gonna do the we're already calling it Captain America, like Easy Rider, the Captain America
right, there it
paint job,
is.
but it also comes in, the matte gray, and I believe the matte green are the traditional
Yes,
all-terrain
the matte
colors.
gray and army green.
Yeah,
And
and
army
they're
green.
also doing the pre-sale on the Rover. The Rover is just runs the narrower rims and tires, kind of like a felt
Yes.
faker size. So a lot
Yeah, I
of
can't
a lot of
I
racers
can't
are
remember the
interested
actual
in the wider AT because you could run that sweet spot,
wider
that two and a
tires.
half to
Yep.
3 inch rim and tire range is ideal for
And
racing, and a lot of people are interested in that. So that you could also get the frame alone. They're also doing a pre-sale
yes,
sale
is it
for 350.
349?
Yeah,
349,
free
yeah.
free
Yeah,
shipping.
definitely. And
Uh,
that's what I was considering of doing actually, and you and kinda Carl talked me out of it, so I decided to go for this. And I can't wait, man. It's gonna be amazing.
so on the
It's
AT
gonna be
frame,
such
there's
a
one
change.
other big deal that I don't know people are aware of. They did now go with tougher, stronger, thicker chain stays. So the modification that I had to make to this frame, the 2024 is already
It's
going to
not
come with a thicker
exact.
chain stay. So fingers crossed,
That's what yes,
it's what you
that's what that
need
meant.
for a nicer engine.
Okay. Yes, that's what that meant when it said thicker tubes, y'all. I
Yep,
said that's a little bit misconceiving. The thicker tubes are these areas right here. Am I correct?
correct. The chain stays.
Yeah, the chain stays is where it's gonna be thicker, y'all. That way, people in the past have had them crack with 212s. I don't recommend putting a 212 on an engine or on a frame like this. Or this frame could probably handle it, but the earlier frames they do tend to crack, and we've had people, in the group like Toaster that had that problem. So, where are we at, Mr. Seri?
Well, that's basically it. It was a good
Yeah.
opening run, and now we've opened the door for the April race.
Yes.
Phatmoto is going to be out there. They're going to have the spec class for gas, the spec class for electric. They're going to have the new general S3 class for all four strokes that are under 105 cc's. Uh,
Yes. That's the
I,
new
I
class there.
I can't encourage people enough to come out, try it. I mean, this is so much fun. It's even worth flying in, like Holton's threatening to do. Fly in and get on a loaner bike and get out there and
I
try
really
it.
want to. I
Uh,
really want to.
it's going to be an
If I can
amazing
get,
experience.
yes, it is. Mr. Seri, thank you, man. Thank you for coming back on.
Oh, it's my pleasure, man.
You've been amazing. You've been amazing here, and it's been an amazing night. I really welcome everybody. Thank you so much for coming back. Um, Nader, I can't wait to um, experience my bike when I get it. It's going to be pretty cool. I took care of that sale for you. By the way, everybody, the sale ends tomorrow.
Oh,
Tomorrow, Sunday. Tomorrow is Sunday, the day that this sale does end. So take advantage of it. I paid the $200. Y'all can too.
yeah.
And
You could
you
do
can
a
even
hundred
I
dollars down. You keep
you
saying
can
200,
as
but it's
little
a
as a
hundred
hundred.
dollars
It's
down.
a hundred
It's a
dollars
hundred bucks.
down. I just
Yeah,
opted
I
for
would.
the 32 mile per option, just to get
Yeah,
the 44 tooth, the 44 tooth taken care of for me already. And the other cool thing about this that you didn't mention is these rears. They have the bolts going all the way through now, instead of so they don't shear off like some of them have. I had that happen with my original stocks, where we sheared off a little bit, but we fixed that with the easy out and what are they called? Healy coils. That's what I fixed them with. So,
yeah, yeah,
but yeah,
yeah. Some folks,
Fat Moto
they
is
didn't.
doing all the improvements. Nader's listening, Sam's listening, Lorenzo is listening. Um, if anybody wants to talk to Mr. Alejandro, I encourage talking to him, later on in the Fat Moto Builds Mods and Info group. Just talk to him. He's a great guy to talk to, as you all can tell. Mr. Carl is also great. Tim and Mr. Andrew. So
Yeah,
again, everybody's here to help, and thank you for watching Fat Moto Tips and Tricks, y'all. This has been
yeah.
a wonderful
And
show.
anybody have any questions for bumping that bike up for racing? Reach out to me. If I can't answer, I'll put you in touch with my sponsors. I want to thank Sam and Nader at Fat Moto, Will Kidd at Gemini, Mike Flaherty at Tor. I want to big thanks to Carl Dean and the Fat Moto group from
Definitely.
Facebook, and to Sean, Cliffy, Oscar, all the guys over at the SoCal Motorized Bicycle Racing Association. You guys have been fantastic. Shane at AGK, hey, without that engine,
Yeah,
we ain't
we
winning.
would have won that.
So
We would have won that race, yo. That's
yeah,
amazing.
so
So
and,
I
and
thank
thank you
everybody for
too,
being here for you.
Holton. You've
Yeah,
been a great friend and a personal moral support through this journey. So I thank you
definitely, man.
too.
I'm always there for you. You know how I am. I'm
I'm
always
so stoked
lending
to
an
see you
ear to
back,
somebody.
man.
I know.
Back with this
I'm glad to
podcast.
be
Keep
back.
it
I am
rolling.
so glad to be back. I am so glad to be back. By the way, y'all, this will be once a month. That way, I'm not taken away from my family and stuff. I'm just gonna leave it at that. And I can't wait to be doing more shows with y'all. It's gonna be amazing. And I can't wait to follow you and follow you in these races. So I'm gonna go ahead and take you down, and
Alrighty.
we're gonna go ahead and end this, man.
Thank
Everybody,
you.
y'all have a wonderful night. Thank you. Thank you for
Bye bye.
listening to the show. Bye bye. Y'all, I think this was an amazing show. It was very informative by Mr. Seri himself. You heard it from the man. We have a lot of great things coming for Fat Moto and all of our enthusiasts. So see you next month. Fat Moto Tips and Tricks.